please subscribe to it. With that being said, let me talk a little bit about commercial pricing, and this is kind of how you're going to do it. I think this commercial building goes all the way down, and then they want this sidewalk area, and then this back dumpster pad area here. I was specific when talking with the property manager that you come from this wall, we're coming out to these yellow poles like a foot past that. I told him I'll line it up with that sidewalk and go all the way down. He doesn't want all of this stuff, which is different because this is concrete, and like I told him, this is something that's very cleanable in comparison to the asphalt that he has for parking spaces. So the other thing I pointed out to him is that and you might not be able to see it from down here, but that metal trim at the very top there has some blue. You see right there, it's blue. That's not something that I'm gonna get up and remove for the pricing that I'm giving him. I'm not gonna get up there and touch every little piece of metal trim that he has. I am gonna soft wash the sides of the building, get this kind of stuff up, restore that sidewalk area. And when you're talking about cleaning the sidewalks, you wanna use words like the restoration, stuff like this. Looking for that kind of stuff so that you see damage. And then the front here. So any of that kind of stuff you want to point out when you're going through. Like you see a lot of these gum spots. You need to clarify, are you expecting the gum to be removed as well? When you are turning in your estimate, you are comparing apples to apples as far as pricing. I don't want you to shoot me down because I included gum removal and the next guy didn't. So you might have to talk to the property manager and educate them on what the difference is. Now, something else that you may want to talk to them about is curbs going all the way around. So I'll be able to look at this and I'll say, okay, based on square footage, it should cost me this much. So essentially what you want to do is I'm going to pull this address and I'm going to find the square footage of the building. I'm going to take the square footage, I'm going to multiply it out times whatever cents per square foot that my business model calls for. Then I'll turn around and say, okay, looking at this job in my experience, and this is where experience comes into play, I can say, okay, this job's going to take this many hours. Well, my company likes to make this much per hour. Where does that put us? Is it close to my square footage rate, or am I severely off? The other thing I want to look at is what is going to be my chemical costs and how hard are my guys going to have to work. So for me, and all of my sales reps, they want to judge like, okay, if this is 4 stories or if this is a lot of landscaping, is there a ton of prep work that's involved? Things like that. So am I going to use a lot of tape? Vinyl tape is costly when you're doing commercial projects. If there is a lot of taping or plastic or draping, and all of that stuff just takes up time. So you want to do the job right. You want to make sure that you're estimating the price to do the job right. And if you get the job, then good. If you didn't, they weren't your people. If my business model calls for 20 cents a square foot or 15 cents a square foot or 8 cents a square foot, if I feel like I can make a good profit off of 8 cents a square foot and I have the equipment and the knowledge to do so, then by all means, I'm probably going to get more commercial jobs than the guy that says I can only charge 20 cents a square foot in order to be profitable. So you want to keep that in mind. Don't price yourself out of the market. There is a line there to walk. We could all just walk around, charging $500 an hour. That would be wonderful. But you can't necessarily do that on every single property, especially when it comes to commercial. I tell my sales reps that all the time. We're going to do it our way. We have a business model and we're going to follow that. I'm not worrying about the $99 guy. I'm not worried about, in commercial, these guys can come in and they bid this stuff at 4 cents a square foot. And I hope that it works out as best as possible for anybody that gets anybody to do pressure washing, because I want you to have a good experience with the industry. But at the same time, I know where I stand. I know where my business model puts me at my pricing, and that's where we stay. If it's a really, really, really big job, I'm going to try to make sure that I understand very, very well what all of the expectations are for the job. And I'm going to make sure that I meet all those qualifications and I meet all those expectations in my bidding. But I'm not going to go and say, okay, well, just because it's a really big job, I'm going to try to, bid it at this square foot, even though I know that's not where my cost is at. And that's because at the end of the day, when you do stuff like that, it ends up, one thing goes wrong or something comes up out of the blue, or everything goes to plan and you just spent, a week on this massive job only to break even. You want to make sure that you're making wise business decisions, even if that means that you don't get the business. So how I got the job was I literally was just driving around from building to building. Just fortunate enough, I stopped here. I talked to the store manager, he approved to have something done and was taking estimates. So it was just a coincidence. This will be an easy in and out. What you want to do is just go in, ask to talk to a store manager. That store manager will usually be the gatekeeper, and you're trying to get to the district manager. Sometimes the store manager will go ahead and let you know there's some type of vendor enrollment program or something like that. Sometimes they're hesitant to give it to you and you have to go online and find it. Once you get to their corporate website, then once you figure out how their corporate structure works, you find that person that is in that structure that makes that decision, that makes that call for your area, and you start trying to figure out how to find them, whether that be on, through email or LinkedIn or Facebook, and you start making sure that your brand is appearing somewhere in their feeds or in their messages or in their email inbox, on a weekly, monthly basis, and until you can get a call, until you can talk to somebody. That's it, man. I hope that helps you guys with commercial buildings. I know that this wasn't a really big building. It didn't have a lot of parking lot stuff or flat surface work, but as far as buildings, I just pull the addresses and I check out the square foot. I know other people do it by linear foot. There are, I'm sure, several ways to ensure that you're getting the price that you need to win but still be profitable. This is just the way that I do it, and I wanted to share it with you.